Hi there, and welcome to yet another episode of The InEVitable. This is MotorTrend's vodcast on the future of mobility. Where are we going? How are we going to get there? What are we going to do when cars don't have steering wheels? How soon is that future arriving? I am joined, as always, by my co-host, the one, the only automotive influencer, writer, car guy, watch guy, whiskey guy.
Bourbon
guy. Johnny Lieberman, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Ed.
I parked next to you. Interesting vehicle.
What did you park next to me?
Well, I drove, it's my new old daily, my 1987 Toyota Land Cruiser diesel.
Oh, that's funny because you parked next to my Toyota Tundra that I'm driving.
Yes, and I was dwarfed. The Land Cruiser's not, by modern terms, it's like the size of a RAV4.
This is a 60 series.
This is a 60 series.
Yeah.
It's very small, no modern crash safety standards. This Tundra you're in is enormous.
It is until you park it next to another full-size American pickup truck, and then it's like somehow, even though you'd think Toyota would just make it bigger, at least this one, this Platinum one, it's kind of not that big. And I will say this, I can stand next to it. I'm 5'11", and I can touch the bottom of the bed with my arm by reaching over the bed wall. And it's something I try on most, and usually I can't.
That is weird.
It's just not that jacked up, even though it's a 4x4. You can switch into four-wheel drive. So it's big with the big bed, but it's not. It's like 15/16. It's not the full size.
Well, that was a knock on Toyota's first couple rounds. First, it was like a 7/8 size.
Yeah, well, it was like 3/4. Then I think the last was 7/8. Now I think they're 15/16. By the time they get to 31/32. However, I'm curious. My fuel economy, I think yesterday I was at 12.7, but I did a lot of freeway driving. I got up to like 13.4 maybe.
And that's with the new hybrid.
It's not a hybrid. This is a twin turbo V6. It's a non-hybrid.
Oh, okay.
I asked for the hybrid. I asked for the TRD Pro. They gave me a Platinum 9 hybrid. But yeah, so it's in the low teens, let's say. And what is your 70s, 80?
No, 87.
87 diesel?
It's a diesel, so it has like the unicorn Toyota diesel engine. It's the 12 HT. It's a 4-liter inline 6 turbocharged.
So it'll run on cooking fuel for 1 million miles.
Yes,
but
no DEF,
no power.
No modern electronics. It's actually one of the most the torquiest. It doesn't beat any of their more modern diesels, but it's considered, because it's like no electronics version. It's
Got it.
My goal. This was hilarious. I was like, oh, man, I want to try to hit 20 miles per gallon with this thing, because I also have the 5-speed H55F manual transmission. If I jack the tire pressure up to like 60 psi, probably get 17, maybe 18, but most days it's like 15, 16 miles per gallon, which is not bad.
It's not good, but what's really bad is that, like, here's this brand new modern pickup that's yes, I don't go the speed limit, but I mean, come on, man, like that's not good. And the next one will probably be electric.
Right. Well, I think the point you're trying to make is, ironically, we're on a podcast about electrification, the future of mobility, arguably a cleaner,
saving the world.
This bright future. We both drove stinky trucks.
Yeah, not.
But that's
stinky Toyotas. Yeah,
that's beside the point. I mean, I can also argue all day long that from a overall sustainability, recyclability, like the cradle to grave. I'm way ahead of you because I have a used car.
Are you in the new car business or not?
Well, exactly.
Yeah, so come on.
That's the big knock on me, right?
But
I'm all about the used stuff.
But anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about a very cool guest,
a colleague of ours, if you will.
Yeah, a colleague, works for our company, but a fascinating person.
Yes.
Her name is Bogi.
Yes.
And you might know her from All Girls Garage,
which
you
is
can watch
a long-running show.
Yeah.
On MotorTrend Plus, on our streaming service. Get the app. She is like the OG. She was the host from the very start of the program and is still on it. That's not all she does. She runs her own automotive repair shop. And she has a couple of very cool projects related to that, related to empowering and training women to be automotive technicians. And she has a very cool project build that she's doing for the upcoming 2022 SEMA show that she's doing with Volvo that we're going to talk to her about. It's it's wild. There is an inevitable EV electrified vehicle angle to it that we'll get into. But I am very much looking forward to this episode. This was a long time in coming. She was very gracious to come out to visit us.
Yeah, from Arizona.
From Arizona.
Yeah,
She's
very
based
cool.
out in Arizona.
She can enjoy our relatively cool 90-degree weather.
Yeah, the heat wave sweeps the world.
I mean, look, again, we're doing this thing because, we do have a bit of an agenda, and that is like we want our children to have a planet to live on. And like, I don't know if you're reading the headlines, but if you're not, like England, 104 degrees in the UK.
Yeah.
Like in July, that's insanity.
And
like,
it's crazy because you're talking about a part of the world that doesn't know how to deal with it. I read something about how the first reaction for most Brits is to drink beer, like just cool down, drink beer, drink more Pim's Cup.
Yeah.
Or like advice they were getting on. They were giving out in like in the social media was like, carry a bag of frozen peas and put it on your neck, and it's like, what is this?
I know. I was listening. They were interviewing kids. Like, well, it's too hot to go outside, but then it was very hot in the house.
Right. And it shuts down like every part of life. Like the tube is too hot. The buses are too hot.
The tracks expand. There was a runway at one of the airports in London that melted.
Yeah.
So and it's like it's insane because
that's just like. England,
and
the rest of Europe.
Yes, forest fires in Spain and Portugal.
A bunch of people die. I mean, unfortunately,
over 1,000 people have died from the heat wave.
A lot of it is old people who can't cope, don't have the means. So I mean,
and there's no AC in Europe anyways, and so imagine like now, just be awful, just brutal. And in Germany, they're still wearing sweaters with ties and jackets.
Yeah. So wow, we went all over the place in this one.
Yeah.
But,
Bogi.
Yeah, let's get Bogi in here. I'll just say the final thought on that is while we hope, we think electrified vehicles are inevitable. We hope climate change is reversible. We should start a podcast on that called The Reversible. But to talk about her place in this wide automotive world and what she's doing to make real change, let's bring in our guest, Bogi. All right, so let's welcome Bogi. Wow, we jinxed.
In unison, no less. That was awesome.
So, Bogi, we're so glad that you could make it out. Thank you for coming all the way out from Phoenix, Arizona, where I hear it's a broiling 115 degrees.
It's a dry heat.
It's a dry heat.
So our 94-degree weather will feel like a vacation for you.
It feels amazing. I'm loving this. But can I stay?
So it's awesome to have you here. I'm excited. It's always great to talk to a fellow MotorTrender like you are. One of our stars.
Ed's wearing the shirt.
I'm wearing the shirt. Thank you so much.
I love it.
We're going to show the back. It says support your local girl gang, which I think is hilarious and awesome. So I'm proud to wear it. Thanks again.
Absolutely.
But we got limited time. We got a lot to cover. I feel like a lot of people should know you because you've been on All Girls Garage for a number of years now. 11 years. I think that's wild.
It's insane.
That's great.
But they may not know a lot about you personally. So I have a bunch of questions.
Tell us everything. No.
Tell us everything.
Let Ed start. So Ed's compiled a dossier.
I see this. I see.
Well, born in Flushing, Queens.
Yeah. Oh, you went deep.
I went deep. Well, you got a Wikipedia page.
Awesome. I've not looked at that.
Don't. It'll just make you sad.
That's great. There's a lot of information on there. Flushing is a lot of my people out there now.
Oh, yeah?
But I'm sure there wasn't that many maybe when you were born. But you grew up in Montclair, New Jersey.
Yeah. So I don't really remember Flushing all that well.
Where's Montclair near?
It's North Jersey, so it's like 12 minutes outside of Manhattan. Like,
so basically
I had
New
the
York.
benefit of being a city kid, but also going home to like a tree-lined street with a park and the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
And then it seems like we're moving quickly, but I'm going to circle back. So then you went to Oberlin College.
Oh wow!
And then you embarked on this.
I have a lot of friends who went to Oberlin.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh nice.
So but then you got into automotive. So somewhere between being born in Flushing and Montclair and Oberlin,
the heck happened?
Is it correct to assume you had some sort of automotive influence, or you're really into cars, or no?
No.
Really?
My parents don't know where the heck I came from. In all honesty, they're like, my mom doesn't even like pumping her own gas. I mean, she's a Jersey girl.
She's from
right?
Jersey.
Like,
Yeah,
exactly.
Why would she?
Yeah. She makes my dad or me do it. Yeah.
I have a friend from New Jersey who, until very recently, forced her husband to put gas in her car.
Yeah.
And then one time, didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And
my mom has convinced strangers at the the Costco gas station to pump her gas for her.
That's
yeah,
fantastic.
no, it's ridiculous. No, I didn't. I had no interest in cars. I didn't grow up around cars. It wasn't anything.
And I'm going to guess that you didn't fall in love with cars at Oberlin.
I did not.
Yeah.
No.
Could you describe? Because I don't think I could say on the air my thoughts on Oberlin, but could you describe Oberlin for people listening who aren't familiar with?
So I've always described Oberlin as if you take the weirdest kids from every high school across the country and put them in one place, that's Oberlin.
Right.
It's incredible.
That's fair.
We're so open-minded that our brains fall out sometimes. We're a very politically active school, all about social justice and change and whatnot. So I definitely...
But a great school at the same time.
Fantastic school. Great academics. Wonderful school.
So, okay, so this is super wild. So how did you end up then... Did you drive a car in high school?
I did. So this all started with the game Punch Buggy.
Oh yeah.
Right.
My nephew's super into that. Yeah.
Right. I loved Volkswagen Bugs. I was a little hippie kid. I was the dreadlocked high school hippie kid. And I decided I wanted one to my parents' great displeasure. And I started reading Volkswagen magazines because I was like, all right, how do I pick which year and what do I do? I knew nothing about cars.
This is what age?
I was 15.
Okay.
And this was the 90s, so the only time women showed up in car magazines, they were wearing high heels and bikinis and strategically placed grease marks. And my little hippie feminist self was like, this is not okay.
Right.
I'm going to restore my bug, and then I'm going to have a hot dude model in front of it, and I'm going to be in the magazine. That was my little 15-year-old brain.
Okay.
That never happened, sadly. I did restore
Still
it.
time, right?
I did restore it.
I bet you could sell a lot of those.
Right?
Yeah,
These
lot
days,
of those.
absolutely.
Yeah. We should do that.
Yeah. I am
that's
so
not
game.
a bad idea. Okay,
I need to restore it again because now it's been far too many years because I'm old.
Oh, so you got one? You got a?
I did buy one. I bought a 74 with my hard-earned babysitting and lawn mowing money.
And this was in the 90s you bought one?
This was in the 90s.
And what did it cost you to get a 74 in the 90s?
$500.
Yeah.
This is this would be pre-Craigslist. So this might have been a newspaper,
It was, yeah. I actually recently, during COVID, when I was cleaning everything up in my life, I found my original notes about it, and it was really cute. $500 in the town, and what was wrong with it. It was really kind of fun. I was like, oh.
So did you? But this isn't. Did you? What car did you take your driver's test in? It's not this one.
I think my dad's Subaru at the time.
What kind of Subaru? GL wagon?
No, I don't remember. It was a four. It was a four-door. It was not anything.
Probably just a
particularly-
legacy or something.
Yeah,
like that.
probably.
Okay.
My parents
Very,
were not
very responsible
edgy
for the
with
New
their
Jersey,
cars. Yeah,
right,
yeah,
winners.
no.
Okay.
But yeah, the bug is what got me started. So I wound up wanting to restore it and wanting to do work on it, and so I enrolled in high school auto shop. And I was only the second girl to take auto shop in my high school's entire history.
Wow.
And they were super not supportive of it. The school wasn't. I was told repeatedly, "But you're smart. You can go to college. You can do anything you want."
Right.
And of course, the little activist in me was like, "You're right. I can do anything I want, and this is what I want."
So that's so funny you say that because I signed up for auto shop. We still had a shop class at my high school, and this was in late 80s, 90s when I was in high school, and I had the same thing. I was like, "Wait, you're smart. Why would you want to? Why would you want to work with cars?" And then I was like, "Yeah, I guess you're right." So I didn't do it.
Interesting.
That was
interesting.
Yeah.
It really riled me up. I was like, this isn't okay. And I didn't know anything about cars really at the time, but I just instinctively was like, this, they're equally valuable career paths, and there's no reason why they shouldn't be seen as equally valuable career paths.
But they really did track kids, though, where it was well, you have no future, go be a mechanic.
Well, they did, right? I called them the basement classes.
Yeah.
Because it was this dark hallway down in the basement of the high school, and it was that's where we put the kids who aren't doing well in school. And it was such BS.
Right.
It really was.
Yeah.
So was the school wasn't supportive, but do you have a good teacher, or your fellow students were cool?
My fellow students were super apprehensive at first. They're like, "Who is this white girl?" Because it was all the football team, and they were not happy about it. And then by the end, they were all my big brothers, and I would have a bad day in class, and they were like, "Who is it? We'll f- him them up.
Nice.
Sorry.
Was that
It's fine. It's fine.
Was that was it a pretty, like, there's some, auto shops I know vary, like some, like you could build like a race car, or you build or is this like super basic?
This was a super tiny underfunded program. When my shop teacher retired, they shut the program down. There is no auto shop in that high school anymore.
And I think that's really happened across the U.S. where auto shops and art class are all kind of
Absolutely.
Well, they get really
away.
well. The minute you have to put computers in for both, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like in software and all that stuff. And that's like
Right.
modern cars.
Although there's an interesting thing, a lot of the high school programs have gotten rid of those programs, but at the same time, there's been a lot of like springing up of technical high schools where you spend half of your day at your homeschool,
Right.
and then you go to this auxiliary
To learn
high
a
school to
trade
learn the
type
trade.
thing, yeah.
But it's still like students are still not encouraged to go do that because of politics and money, right? The homeschool loses money if the kid goes to that
Right,
school.
right.
So they only send the trouble kids that they want to get out of their school.
Right.
So it's still really a frustrating situation.
Okay.
Sorry, we're going.
No,
We're going philosophical here.
We're going to circle back
But
to
real
that.
quick,
Okay.
so you're in a high school
Yes.
auto shop class. Did you have thoughts like one day I will earn a living, I'll create my legacy by
No.
working on cars?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Nope.
Yeah.
It was never like shown to me as a viable career path. As a male or a female, it didn't matter. Like nobody came into our high school shop program and was like, this is a career path that you can do. This is what you do after high school. Like nobody presented that to us. So I did what I was supposed to do. I went to college and I thought I was going to be a lawyer. I studied pre-law and women's studies and a minor in politics, and I wanted to change the world. And thought I was going to be a constitutional lawyer and defend women's rights and yada, yada, yada.
Well, we could use you right now. But go ahead.
For real, no kidding. We won't go down that rabbit hole, but yes.
Sorry. It's just,
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. And by the time I was done with college, like my fourth year, my senior year of college, I just realized like I missed working with my hands. And I still didn't really know that being an auto mechanic was a viable career path, but I had this idea of I can change the world in a different way. I can advocate for women and women's empowerment in this other way. Like I can go be a mechanic. I can open up a shop and it can be focused on training women. And this was my crazy idea.
Okay.
And my senior advisor, I told him my crazy idea. And amazingly, he was like, I think you should do it.
That's awesome.
It was fantastic. He's like,
That's
why do you want to
great.
go to law school? I said, I don't actually.
Right. That's great.
It was super supportive. and
Oh, that's
super
amazing.
wonderful. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And you had did you have the 74 bug at Oberlin the whole time?
I did. I had restored it from the ground up in high school and rode it cross country with my cousin from England, and then went to college and had it with me the whole time.
Okay. So
Like
then
this little bug.
So then you had this great conversation. You should go do it, and then your next stop is United Technical.
Universal Technical
Universal
Institute.
Technical. Sorry.
Yeah.
UTI.
Yep.
How there are many programs. How did you pick UTI?
The Google. Actually, it wasn't Google back then. I think it was like Ask Jeeves or
That's
something.
Jeeves. Right.
Showing my age here.
Right,
But
okay,
no, I went straight from that meeting with my advisor. I went straight back to my little off-campus housing and started Googling tech schools and found UTI. They had 4 campuses. I chose Phoenix completely arbitrarily.
Wow.
I don't even really understand why. And here I am.
And you're probably the only Oberlin grad to also then go to UTI.
I think probably.
Yeah, right.
Well,
It has
so
to
let's
be very narrow.
let's get into that, because like
That's
you
a
were,
Venn diagram. That's a shirt right there.
For real.
and again, I don't want to. I mean this with total respect to people who go to the like a UTI or a trade school, but you were probably in the minority of people that had a college degree, right? Like,
Oh, 100%.
Right.
One of my favorite stories, honestly, I was in class with a bunch of 19-year-old boys or whatever, and they found out I'd gone to college. And the conversation that ensued was, wait, you went to college? Yes, I did. Did you graduate college? Yes, I did. Do you know what that means? No, I don't know what that means. You can buy us beer.
Well, exactly right. Yeah, no, that's
means a lot more than that, but yes, that's
I mean,
that's absolutely right.
that's it. When I was an undergrad, I thought in very, it was like, wait, your boyfriend's how old? Awesome, get him over here.
So what is that like on many levels, right? Like, not only are you, because how big is the class? How big was like your first couple of classes?
So
there?
in the individual classes are like 15, 20 people. The school as a whole was, I think, like 25 or 3,000, and there were 7 women, and a couple of them were making a bad name for women in the industry. Let's just say that delicately there.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So was it?
Hard.
It was hard.
It was hard being a woman, being a little bit older, having come from a completely different background.
So specifically, like, what obstacles as a woman did you face at a trade school like that?
Everybody thought I was there to find a boyfriend, that I wasn't possibly serious. Or if I wasn't
And when you
there to
say
meet
everybody,
a husband,
not just students, but like instructors as well?
a lot. With the instructors, it was kind of different. With the instructors, it was every like phase. They call it phases. So every 3 weeks, you're in a different class.
Got it.
And so every phase, I would play this game with like, how are they going to bring it up? Like, what's the thing that they're going to do to bring up that there's a woman in the class? And sometimes it was super supportive. Most of the time, it was either really crappy, or it was this like backhanded weirdness that still isolated and made you different. Like, all right, boys, we've got a lady in the class this time, so we're gonna have to watch our what we say and what we do.
We can't be sexist right now, but just wait till she's gone. And
Right.
Then,
Or they'd say things like on the other side of it, like, watch out, boys, these girls are coming in and they're gonna take your jobs. I'm like, that's really helpful. Thanks for setting me up for failure.
Right. But what you're saying is that it was always pointed out that here's a different type of person.
Yes,
And
it was highlighted in some way.
Great.
Or
Great
it
way
was
to
made
put it.
apparent that they didn't want me there, that I didn't belong there, I didn't belong in their school or their classroom.
Oh, that's terrible.
So, but you stuck it out.
I stuck it out. The more I encountered that, right? I was a little stubborn hippie kid, right? The more I encountered that, the more it made me want to be successful and to prove everybody wrong. That's just always been my personality type.
Same.
And that's
Sweet. We're going to get along just great.
And this program at UTI is what, 2 years?
It was 18 months,
18 months,
I think,
yeah.
with like the add-ons of going to Ford Fact and BMW Step and like all of the different
including
manufacturers.
the VW Step program?
I think so. No, it included Fact, but it did not include Step. Step was a 7-month program after UTI.
Okay, what's Fact is?
Ford Fact. It was just a program that Ford did, manufacturer program, similar to most of the manufacturer programs.
And that's so you sort of train on their vehicles and learn their ins and outs.
Yeah, they were actually a great program for learning electrical. UTI as a whole, I kind of look at it as like your undergraduate or even your high school. It's like, these are the basics, these are the systems, and then you go and specialize and go to grad school.
So you did
with the different
Ford
manufacturers.
Fact was like roughly how long?
I think that was like.
And I know this is like a long
I think
time
it was
ago.
only like 12 weeks.
And then you did BMW
I
Step,
did
which is
BMW.
which is 7 months,
months.
and that was like even crazier.
Intense.
Okay.
Yeah, that was an intense program. Yeah.
And how was that? Well, two things. Like what was so intense about it, but also once you got into these grad school type things, was the fact, did your gender come to play as frequently?
In the same way.
Same way.
In the
Didn't
same
matter.
way,
Didn't matter what level.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And this was a while ago. Like, things have changed
Sure.
in some ways a lot, but also in some ways not at all.
Sure.
Right.
I bet the penalties probably have changed. I think there's a lot more. I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, there's a lot more visibility on this, and you can get called out on this a lot quicker than I think 20 years ago.
The bigger
You would hope.
the bigger the company, the bigger the school, the more likely you're going to be held accountable for bad behavior. But there's still a lot of it.
And what was so intense about the BMW program?
It's just an intense program. They're training you on every single make.
I looked
and
it up
model.
actually.
Yeah.
There's like a body shop program you can learn, like all sorts of.
I was purely
crazy
on the
stuff.
mechanical side for that, but the Germans, they're interesting. So like you had to
Yes.
memorize
Yes, they are.
all of this stuff. There's like group numbers and codes, and you have to remember all the things. And then it's a very hands-on program. So it's not just book learning. It's we're going to go take this thing apart and.
But worthwhile?
100% worthwhile.
cool.
100%.
At what point did you? Because you're ASE certified master mechanic. Is that through all of this? Like by the end you graduate, or does that come after?
No, when I graduated, it left me as a BMW Master Tech minus the years of experience. So I couldn't actually be called a Master Tech until I had 2 years of experience. And then ASE is a separate thing. Like a lot of the manufacturers don't require ASEs. The independent shops do more often. Not always, but more often.
Okay. So you graduate in let me see, to 18 months plus 12 weeks plus 7
Or we
months.
could ask, when did you
So
graduate?
like 3 years, 3 years or so.
I think. Well, let's see. I graduated college in 2000. I think I graduated STEP in like 02, late 01. 02, I think. It was 02.
So like
Okay.
about 2. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you go directly and you work for 7 years or so as a dealer technician with a BMW dealership.
Yeah, one in New York and then one in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay.
So you went back to Arizona.
Yeah, I don't ask me why.
New York and
I went
Arizona.
back to New York right away because I hated Arizona, and
Sure.
then somehow I
got pulled
sucked
back to Scottsdale.
That's a whole nother-
that's what I meant was.
Yeah, that's a
I get
whole
returning
nother
home.
story,
Right.
yeah.
Next episode.
But BMW step was the foot in the door too. Was it a BMW dealership?
It was, yeah. And
both.
I highly recommend anybody who wants to pursue a technical path as a mechanic, like going to those graduate programs is invaluable. It opens that door so wide. Otherwise, you get stuck in the lube rack, and a lot of dealerships they leave their lube techs.
Lube rack.
The lube rack, yeah, lube techs.
What is it? This is like is this
basically
like
you're changing oil.
this is the entry level.
Yeah. So
Jiffy
entry
Lube.
is often a porter, which is just running cars, and then the next is being a lube tech, and you're just changing oil and inspecting vehicles all day. And a lot of times people get stuck there, and the dealers don't promote them on to the next steps.
Interesting.
But as somebody who'd gone to the graduate program, I had gotten qualified or certified on each of the different models, I should say, and the dealers can sell more vehicles of a specific model
If they have
more technicians. So it incentivized them to put me out in the field. It didn't always incentivize them to actually let me work. Like my first dealership, my shop foreman and my dispatcher, we had a manual dispatcher guy, and he was awful, like angry that I existed, angry that I was there, like red in the face, pounding fists on tables, spitting when he talked, like angry that I was there.
New York.
Because
New
you're
York,
a woman,
right, because I was a
or because
woman.
you're you?
No, because I was a woman. Yeah, no, straight up, he would say, "You don't belong here. This is not
how
a space
wonderful.
for you."
Is this like
Great.
a
What a
New
nice
York
working
State,
environment.
or is this like Manhattan area?
It's
like,
I think it's a New York City. I was in Long Island.
Long Island, okay.
But it's all the same.
You're really building a stereotype of New York, Long Island. Maybe
Although
not.
I will say I appreciate it. So in New York, people were straight up with me, like, "You don't belong here. We don't like you. Women shouldn't do this."
Right.
In Arizona, I got, "Oh, it's really great to have you here." She's not going to last for 5 minutes.
Right.
Okay.
Bless your heart. That whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you answered the question, which was, at some point, does the narrative change that? Oh no, I went to work for this company, and everybody treated me great. It was equal.
No, that never happened.
Wow. Okay, that's.
I slowly started gaining the respect of some people.
Okay.
And so, but you're doing this for like 7 years. But your idea you had, that you were talking to your advisor about starting, was that always bubbling, or did it go away and come back
I
up?
lost track of it.
Okay.
You get so deep in life, and I'd gotten to this point where I was waking up, going to work, paying the bills, going to sleep, wake up, go to work, pay the bills.
Yeah, and we all get there.
Yeah, and I'd forgotten about it, and then it got kind of reinvigorated. Lots of interesting life circumstances that we would be here a long time for if I were to explain. But I had this moment where I was like, "This is not the life that I wanted. I wanted to do something more with this. Not that there's anything wrong with being a tech only as your career, but there was something more I was craving." And I had this moment where I handed in my resignation with like shaky hand and tears in my eyes and totally terrified. I had $200 in my bank account, and I called all my friends and said, "I'm starting my own business. Bring me your cars." And that's how that started.
But I think anyone who achieves on a big level, I think you do make that call, because I did that when I got into writing about cars. I was doing something else entirely. And I was just like, I remember I was like, it was the day I turned 30, and I'm like, if you don't make a radical change today, in 10 years you're going to be sitting at this desk turning 40. Yeah. And then it's just, you gotta do something. I think
next up is the graveyard.
Right. Well, that's
it is. That's the motivator.
No, it's totally. I had a mentor back then, right before I started the business, and she said to me, because I had all these great ideas, right? And she's like, when you die, do you want your headstone to say, "Here lies a woman who had a lot of great ideas"? Or do you want it to read, "Here lies a woman who did a lot of great things"?
Yeah,
and I was
exactly.
like, oh, yeah, okay, got it.
So that first great thing was 180 Degrees Automotive
Yes.
in Arizona, opened in 2006. I finally get the reference. We're talking about temperature, right? So it's 180 degrees, right?
No, it's 180 degrees from the norm, you brat. But yes, a lot of people think that.
Close enough.
Right. Hey, it's a double entendre.
Yeah. Planet's getting hot.
But this initially was like you fixing cars in your driveway, right?
Yeah.
Like at the house.
Yeah, I had a toolbox in my living room. I didn't even have a garage. I had a carport. And I worked on cars stupid early in the morning because it would get too hot.
And what year was this?
That was 06.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah. So then I moved into a 1-bay shop, and then a 2-bay shop, and then ultimately I wound up in an 8-bay shop with at the craziest, it was 10 employees.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And I mean, this is all on your Wikipedia page, which is amazing.
Yeah.
2011, you were in Phoenix, Arizona, was 40 under 40, and you were clearing $1 million in sales by 2012. Sales of what? Like parts?
Gross sales of repair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were a general repair shop.
Okay.
So,
And it wasn't all women at this point?
It was 95% women.
Oh, it was? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I always kept an apprentice position open for women because I knew how hard it was for me to get my first job. I wanted to make it easier for women to get their entryway into the field.
Got it.
How do you get experience if no one will give you a job,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
I did have a mail shop foreman who was Papa Bear to everybody, but otherwise, it was pretty much entirely women.
Okay. Yeah.
And were you still very hands-on? Were you adminning, managing at this point?
It changed over time, right? Like at first I was everything. I think like most small business owners, I wore all the hats. I was the tech, I was the service advisor, I was admin, I was bookwork, I was all of the things.
Okay.
And then over time you have to start delegating things. So I hired a service advisor, and then I hired a technician, and then I hired a this and a that and a customer service rep until I became the professional firefighter. And I was just, I dealt with the angry customers, I dealt with the angry employees. I never dealt with the good stuff. I just dealt with the bad stuff.
It's like me.
It's a lot like you. Where were you finding all these women to work at the shop?
Yes.
I think word travels, right? So back then it was kind of pre-social media days. It wasn't very active. So people would hear news stories about me, this, woman-owned shop and blah, blah, blah. And so people would seek me out.
And by the way, this is not long. It's crazy that would even be a headline.
Right?
Yeah. But
things have changed so dramatically since then. It was still like a big deal. Like, there's a woman who's become a mechanic.
Yeah.
She's opened up a shop. This is very weird. We must investigate.
Yeah. I mean, there's that old, that Simpsons joke when like Lisa's trying to join the army or something, and like the general's like, well, next thing you know, women are going to want to drive. It's like.
I mean, it kind of felt like that sometimes. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So let's pause here. We've moved very quickly.
Yes, sorry.
No. What are you driving this whole time? You still got the bug?
I had the bug, and I'd also.
But you need something with air conditioning.
What's the shop? You got a shop truck?
Something with air conditioning. No, so I think my next car was a Volkswagen diesel, little Golf TDI, which I loved and I regret selling.
Okay.
MotorTrend Car of the Year. We kind of regret giving it Car of the Year because of Dieselgate, but it was a great car.
They were great cars.
It was a great car, except for all the emissions. Yeah.
And then somebody convinced me that I needed to graduate and be a grown up and get a BMW since I worked for BMW. So I got a little 2-door coupe.
Okay.
And then
All right. So things are going well. You're again 40 under 40 in 2011. All Girls Garage starts in 2012. What's the origin story there? How did that happen?
Well, again, it was pre-social media days, so it wasn't as easy as being like #female mechanic and finding a bunch of women. So I think ultimately they were looking for female techs.
Okay.
They found me through a couple of news articles that had been written about me, and they called me up. And honestly, I'd been approached by a number of production companies, and they all wanted like the cat fight, pillow fight thing.
Right. Can you wear a bikini while you change the head
gasket? We're going to bring 7 women in, and they're going to live in a house together and start up a shop together. I'm like, no, not going to happen. Women have a hard enough time in this industry. I'm not going to be part of making it worse. So they called me, and I was like, not interested. And she's like, no, wait. We're educational. It's not drama. It's not reality TV. This is something like legit. And she's like, come out for an audition and we'll see where it goes. And I guess they liked me.
Okay.
And who were the original there's 2 others?
Yeah, so Jesse Combs and Christy Lee were the originals.
Jesse, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I know both of them, but I knew Jesse.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. And so was it it's sometimes jumping in because you hadn't done anything
TV?
like that.
No.
Okay.
No.
And so it can be Johnny knows it can be weird. It can be rough. You got to like emote a certain
dull.
way.
That's the other thing, making TV, right?
Right.
It's really interesting. On the one hand, I took to it really quickly because I'd been teaching women's car care classes since forever. And so when I got on camera, I just imagined that the camera was one of my students. And so I was able to transition into that relatively easily. The part that I didn't expect was the feedback online, right? Like I had gone
so
from,
nice, right?
Yeah. Well, I'd gone from being in technical school where everybody hated me because I was a girl.
Right.
And then I started my own shop where nobody came through my doors if they didn't know if they weren't okay with a woman being the shop owner or the mechanic, right? So I was very insulated from all the crap. And then I get on the TV and all of a sudden it's like, who are these chicks? They can't be real mechanics. There's no way.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, it was very jarring.
Yeah.
Johnny knows all about it.
I mean, I've literally had people say on YouTube, like, why does Mercedes let a Jew drive its products?
Oh, your tribe? No wonder I like you. Yeah. I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
The emphasis on the ish.
Yeah. But no, I've literally, like, I remember reading that, like, oh my God.
Oh, I've been told I'm too fat and ugly to be on TV.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. But apparently I'm a legitimate mechanic, so there's that. That's literally one of my favorite comments online.
I got one on Saturday that was, remember, he's a Jew first, automotive journalist second.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
The world is...
It's great. It's a great
I'm
place
Jewish
to be.
and a woman, just imagine.
Hey.
Yeah.
But so real quick, you said you were teaching, before we get to the TV, you were teaching a women's automotive repair class?
Yes.
What was that?
So honestly, like when I quit the job and started 180, my intent was to do that dream that I had come up with in college, and it was not actually to start a general repair shop. I was going to start teaching classes. I was going to work with the local domestic violence shelter and like teach these women skills so they could get out on their own 2 feet. Like that was the crazy vision. But of course I needed to make money while I was building that. So I started just working on cars in my driveway. And then I got so busy that I didn't have time to do the other things. So I hired a tech. And then I got so busy that, so then suddenly, 10 years later, I'm like, what the happened?
Yeah. Right.
But I always taught the car care classes. So
So what was that?
Yeah, so I'd bring together a group of women. It started in my living room, and then I would be in shops wherever I went, or Girl Scout troops. And it was a 2 to 3 hour class where we'd how to check your oil, how to change a tire, how to find a good shop, how to talk to a shop so that you don't have a target on your head, how to develop a relationship with a shop. So it was really more about putting women in the driver's seat, no pun intended, but to be able to feel more confident when they have to bring their car in for service.
Right.
Okay.
Huh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
fun.
So then that leads to, and I know we're kind of accelerating through...
Well, we only got 16 minutes.
I know, but we're accelerating through the All Girls Garage portion, but all that is available to watch.
It is indeed, and it's an interesting transition. If you like go back to the old ones, I'm like so awkward and nervous and weird and young. I was young.
I mean, yeah, like I can't even watch myself on camera because maybe the commenters are right, but definitely the old ones were much more awkward than the new. You learn how to how to shorten things and be better for camera. And,
I'm still not good at shortening things. I'm very long-winded. It's the New Yorker in me, I think.
Right.
Yeah. No, interestingly, All Girls Garage is part of the reason why my business wound up becoming more successful.
Okay.
Because I was forced to implement systems and processes so that I could be away from my shop while I was filming. So
where
really
did you
forced
guys?
me.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Where did you guys film?
It was always in Florida. Still is.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Where in Florida?
Tampa area.
Tampa. Okay,
Ish.
nice. Yeah, I like
And the filmings would be like 2 months or like a month and a half.
No,
8 weeks, 6 weeks,
we would go out for basically a week.
Oh, really?
So about a week, once a month, we'd film a couple episodes.
Yeah.
That words are hard.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and then go back to Phoenix. So my shop had to be able to live for at least a week without me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which, when you have a fledgling business, like that's hard. So it really forced my business to the next level, and so ironically, it's a big part of the success of the shop.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then how long was Jessie on the show?
2 years, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I worked with her. I used to work at Autoblog.
Oh, okay.
And she was doing something for AOL Autos, and AOL Autos owned Autoblog. So we'd see each other once in a while.
AOL.
She was doing the show. Yeah. They were handing out CDs and stuff, right? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
See?
Something like
That's
that.
That's an old reference. No one's going to be like, what are you
Some people
doing?
don't even know what that is.
Dial-up?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, okay, so All Girls Garage begets. What's the connection between that and your business is running, and then you set up Girl Gang?
Yeah.
And what is Girl Gang?
Girl Gang. So Girl Gang started out as just a single project.
Okay.
And it wasn't even called Girl Gang then. It was called up Bogi's Garage because I'm incredibly creative. And,
right.
Yeah. So it was this single project that I had this idea of, how do we shine a light on the fact that there are a lot of women in the industry that, when you think about women technicians, people are like, oh yeah, there's Jessie and there's Christy and Faye and Bogi. And I'm like, no, there's thousands of us.
Sure.
There are thousands of amazing women out there working in the trades. So I wanted I wanted to flood the internet with images of real women doing real work while keeping their clothes on. That was kind of the mission, like showing legitimacy to women in the trades. And I also wanted to really, aside from the internet, start changing the conversation within the industry about the presence of women and what they can contribute. I also wanted to connect women to each other. Like, one of the hardest things about being a female mechanic is that isolation, right? No matter how many of us there are, most of us are working in isolation. We're the first. And it's very isolating and can be very overwhelming. And when you connect women to each other in those situations, you get, oh my God, you had the same experience as me. They find that support. And so I thought, let's build a car. Let's bring women together from all over the country. Let's build a car and see what happens. So I bought an old Chevy pickup truck from Craigslist.
Nice.
It came in boxes and pieces. And I had the crazy idea that I wanted to put a BMW M5 engine in it because I'm a
perfect,
right?
Yeah,
duh.
Perfect. Yeah.
Because I love Chevy trucks, but I work for BMW, so
Right.
Excuse me. And I did that intentionally because I wanted to create controversy. Like, I knew a lot of people were not going to be okay with it. And I wanted to draw attention for women in the trades. And
I mean, a Ford V8 would have been much more controversial, but yeah, I
know, isn't that weird? Right?
It is.
No, but so
weird,
many people were like, why would you put a piece of German
Well,
And this was back in...
This was 2016. I think I went to SEMA 2017. So we started it in 16.
And this is the name was this is a Chevy, montage. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You still have it?
I do. Yeah, I take it around to shows. Like, now its purpose is to go around to shows and be a conversation starter. We show a video of women building it.
Okay.
And every time somebody walks by, we get to have a conversation with them.
Was it a Barrett Jackson a couple years ago?
That was our second build, the bright yellow one.
Yeah,
we wound up doing a conversion to fuel injection while we were there.
Right,
on the
I
restoration row.
saw that in Phoenix.
That was 2019. That was the second build.
Yes, I was there.
Nice.
Yep.
Great, and then now we're on this. I don't
say to anyone.
We're on the third build.
Number 3.
Okay, and this is actually there's a clip of it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, clip. So we're gonna
play the clip.
Play the clip.
We're gonna be like big boy
Sean,
production.
play the clip.
Let's play the clip. So we'll play the clip. Here it goes.
Girl Gang Garage and everything we do here is pure passion. My name is Bogi. I'm a master automotive technician, but most importantly, an advocate for women in the trades.
We're taking an old platform Volvo,
A 1961 Volvo
Pv 544 body with a new platform Volvo,
the 2019 S60 Hybrid,
and merging them together into one epic build.
There needs to be increased visibility in the women that do amazing work every day in the automotive trades.
Women make up less than 2.5% of all automotive tradespeople. Volvo is taking action to increase the number of female technicians and keeping them within the automotive industry and within Volvo. Stay curious. Take things apart. Figure out how they go back together. It's about doing it because you love it and nothing else matters.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's super interesting. But we should hear more about it. So you're taking a 1961 Volvo Pv 544. This is a front engine, rear drive, 2-door coupe. And you're
and real quick, basically a piece of farm equipment. I mean, not to besmirch.
I looked up.
Not really.
No. I'm just saying those. Not a lot of sophistication going on.
Gosh, no.
Time out. I've thrown a flag here. I looked up the Wikipedia page on this guy. The car was so beloved, it had so endeared itself. This is a quote. Itself to its owners that Volvo ran a self-deprecating advertisement in late 1965 and early 1966 to implore PV owners not to be angry with the company. Well, after it was this vehicle ran from there's a PV 5.
I'm not saying it was a bad car. I'm saying in terms of we're doing a podcast here, Ed, called the InEVitable, the future of the car and electrification, and it
was not very forward thinking.
I guess I could say, tell me you have never driven an old Volvo PV without telling me you've never driven one, because they're just as primitive as machines get.
They are, but I mean that was the thing back then, right?
Yeah.
But it was a weird little car, right? It looks like a Volkswagen Bug in the back. It looks like somebody dropped a piano on the front. It looks a little bit like a 40s Ford. It's a little.
But it'll get you from Gothenburg to to Malmo in the dead of winter.
Well, and they were huge for rally cars, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
front engine,
who
rear
knew?
drive. Yeah.
But and now you're going to update it tremendously. You're stuffing in a 2019 Volvo S60 hybrid powertrain.
It's stupid. It is absolutely the most ridiculous thing. It's stupid awesome. It's just stupid. It's ridiculous what we're doing.
It is, and I'll tell you why. Because I looked in the specs of the cars, and you are trying to put the Volvo, the PV 544 is 177 inches long. It's 62 inches tall, and it's 61 inches wide.
So that's
It is 10 inches shorter, 11 inches narrower, and 5 inches taller than the car that you're pulling the
I was
powertrain
going to say
from.
62 inches wide that's like a foot, over a foot narrower than a normal typical car.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Like I said, it's stupid.
Yeah.
how
Okay,
are you?
good.
So there's so many questions.
So many.
How are you doing this? And what are you going to retain? Because the 2019 Volvo S60 hybrid is all-wheel drive. It's got a battery.
Yeah.
It's got an engine.
So it's a front 4-cylinder engine that has a turbocharger and a
Supercharger.
supercharger, which is so cool in and of itself. Like,
Right.
why don't more people do that? And then the rear electric engine. And so you can run in two-wheel drive all ICE, or you can run in two-wheel drive rear all electric.
Oh, you can do so
or
it'd be
you can
front
run in
or
hybrid.
rear?
Yeah, it's a plug-in. It's no drive shaft.
Right.
You know, so fascinating little car, big car, I guess, in comparison.
Are you
going to
retain all those features?
Yeah, so
Holy
basically
moly.
the goal is to, celebrate the past and the future of Volvo and past and future of women in the trades. Hopefully that we're going to see more women in the trades. So we basically took the PV, we cut the floor and the firewall out of it.
Okay.
Then we took the S60, we chopped everything off of the outside of it, leaving the floor, the front and rear subframes, the suspension, the brakes, the engine, the electric motor. And then we cut the floor of the S60 in half laterally, took 16 inches out of it and made it shorter.
But
Narrowed
you
the
gotta
floor.
make it narrower,
Yeah, we
too.
narrowed the floor, and then we got the body of the PV welded together on the S60. But then we had to widen everything else, like all the fenders. So we added 5.5 inches to each of the rear fenders. That got us our, 10, 11 inches of room that we needed, and then widened the heck out of the front fenders, and it's just ridiculous. There's so much, and we're trying to get all of the technology. So the sunroof's in there, the rear camera, the front camera, the door lock actuators.
Why'd you need the tires, the rear fenders wider?
Because the track width of the S60 is so much bigger.
wider.
So no matter how much we trimmed the floor down to fit the body of the PV on it, we still had this issue of the wheelbase.
And is that because
track width.
this thing it's not just it's a Polestar.
It's a Polestar, but
Volvo-y
any of them, there was
thing.
no room to squish. You know how modern cars are. They fit everything that they can in the smallest of spaces.
Right.
And we're having to take all of that stuff and squish it into an even smaller space.
But
Right.
I mean, it's going to look cooler though too.
Oh, it's gonna look dope.
because you're
I mean, I hope.
I mean, you're widening. I mean, anything that's wider,
Yes.
you're going to make this thing wider.
Yeah.
It's going to cover the wheels, and it's going to accommodate. Because otherwise, it's a very tall and skinny. The original PV is very
It
tall
is.
and
It's
skinny
getting
vehicle, so-
lowered and widened, and I normally name my cars male names because men have been calling their inanimate objects women for the longest time.
like
So I
this,
like
okay.
reversing that. But this cannot be a man because she is a curvy girl. She's big booty Judy. Like she really is.
So speaking of that, where is the battery pack going to go?
The battery pack on the S60 lives in kind of the center console area.
Okay.
So it's this where the transmission tunnel would,
Okay.
essentially.
All right.
And so that's maintained. We've had to do a bunch of modifications to make the seats and the dash, obviously, all of that stuff fit. We actually cut the seats in half.
I saw this
and
in
took
the
2
clip,
inches
yeah.
out of it and put it back
Jeez,
together
wow.
because we're ridiculous.
Do you fit in them?
You probably wouldn't, but I do.
So you're,
And that's not meant as a dig.
No.
wait. So
I'm 246 pounds. So
are we retaining? We're retaining the seat structure of the PV.
Of the S60.
Oh, the S6.
Yeah. So everything on the inside, really the only thing that we're keeping of the PV is the body shell. And we're reusing all of the metal of like the fenders and the hood and the deck
Why do you need to
make
make the seats narrow?
because the S60 is so much narrower and we use the floor of the PV is so much narrower, but we wanted to use the S60 seats.
Just so they fit in the cabin.
Oh, okay.
Because you couldn't
okay.
close the door.
Got
like
it,
we
yeah.
put the
Yeah,
S60
that helps,
seats and we're
yeah.
like, oh yeah, the door doesn't close. We just shift the steering column over 2 inches by cutting cutting all sorts of bracketry because, again, the door wouldn't close.
And then you have rear seats retained? Or
no,
That's
we're not
the,
going to do rear seats.
okay.
The S60 was a 4-door, and so
All right.
the seats don't fold forward. So having a rear seat would be like, all right, so climb through the center console.
Oh, right.
That wouldn't really work.
Okay.
So the two things that stood out to me in the video, one was it says Volvo is taking action to help address the fact that there's not enough women in the trade. So what's Volvo doing?
So it's actually pretty cool, and this is like one of those I could die happy moments. Like me bringing the project to them kind of alerted them to a problem that they didn't realize they had. Like they'd been making great strides in increasing gender diversity within their like corporate side, but
And that's easier to do.
That's easier. They hadn't really realized or thought about that it was a problem on the technician side. And I asked them like, how many female techs do you have? And they looked it up. They found the number, and I'm like, well, that's why you need to do this project because this is a big deal.
What was the number?
I think it was like 7.
Yeah, I was gonna say
ish,
single
right? It
digits.
was not a lot. Yeah. But like many manufacturers or companies would be like, wow, that sucks. And then that wouldn't do anything about it. Volvo's super taken it seriously. They initiated a female technicians forum. So this is now their second year that they've had all of these female techs that they have come together and get some additional training and meet each other and create a network of support. They've incentivized their dealerships to increase the gender diversity of their technicians. And they've increased, I think more than doubled. I think they've tripled the number of female technicians they have
that's
in
fantastic. That's
their
great.
dealer network now. So they're really trying to do something. They've created an initiative. I might be misspeaking, but I want to say they're looking for like 50% by 2030,
Wow.
which is I don't know that we'll achieve that,
Well,
but
and
like,
then
what a great goal.
So that's the other thing that stood out is less than 2.5%. And to me, I mean, that's my problem with like, racism, sexism, bigotry, anything is like, you're just excluding so much potential talent. You're just
we have
for
a
no
technician
reason.
deficit. We need technicians,
Right.
And yet we're excluding 50% of the population because why? No reason.
No, exactly no reason.
No reason.
Yeah, it's insane to me.
It
yeah.
is. And then it's interesting too. Sorry.
That's okay.
There's like
You
I hear
can cut him
from
off. It's fine.
I hear from shop owners and dealerships all the time like trade deficit. We can't find technicians. There's kids these days don't want to go into this. Like blah 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 blah.
Right.
And then and they say that they're down for hiring women. But then at the same time, I hear women all day long saying, nobody will give me a chance. Nobody will hire me. They've run me out of my job. Like, we have this massive disconnect between, what the industry thinks
Right.
and what's actually
There's a
happening.
pay disparity too. I looked this up because I knew we were going to talk about this. So let's go over those numbers again because you mentioned 2.5%.
Less than
kind of. So when I started out in the industry, it was 1.8.
Okay,
About 4 years ago, we were up to 2.4.
it's kind of bounced around a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
And recently it's gone back to 1.9.
Oh,
Which
seriously?
It tells
Oh, 'cause of the
me-
pandemic.
Well, kind of the
Yeah.
pandemic, but kind of because it's exhausting. We just want to come and do our job, right? Women just want to show up and be able to work, but instead we're dealing with these layers of sexism and misogyny and sexual harassment and all of these other things, and it gets tiring, and women are leaving.
Yeah.
So it's not attracting women; it's retaining them.
Yeah, and you're not going to do it with. I looked up, so that your number is even worse than what I found. Which again, I didn't know the source of this. The source was a little dodgy, but it had a lot of information. It's 96% male, 4% female. So that's twice what you're reporting. But then they're claiming the gender disparity. Women are earning 96 cents for every $1 earned by men.
Well, that's actually, honestly,
which
that's not bad.
not bad.
I mean, I hate saying it, but no, because what is it? Like the Ledbetter was like 77%.
Yeah, it's all a matter of perspective, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That percentage disparity, by the way, between what you're finding and what I find, is it depends on whether you look at women in the automotive industry technical careers in general, or whether you're looking at female technicians. So if you take lube techs out of it, you take
They had two lines here that said car repairman and automotive technician. I don't know the difference. What's the difference?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So
Who knows?
I don't know either.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well-
The Department of Labor, if you look at automotive technicians or automotive mechanic, it's too.
But it just, I mean, that if that 96% pay gap, I mean, look, you don't have far to go to get to equity, which would be good. But that's like, it's just like, that's the most basic point in feminism is like, just pay people the same because they're all people.
And just let me do my job.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I don't want to be a female technician. I want to be a technician.
Exactly. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Okay. So
Crazy.
So this project that you've been working on with Volvo, it was a little delayed. I understand. It was supposed to debut but it seemed like got canceled or something.
Well, so
or
we
what?
started it like 2 months before COVID happened.
Oh, okay.
Right. So we started, we got shut down. Then we started again, and then the second wave, third wave, whatever it was, kind of slowed us down again. We have women who come from all over the country normally, so a lot of people
How many
weren't
people
comfortable.
involved in that project?
So far we're over 100. We're probably around 110 women from all of North America, actually.
For the
women from as
Volvo
far as-
project?
Yeah. The first one had about 90 women. It was done in 10 months. This one's taking a little while longer because we're doing something way more ambitious.
Can I ask what do 100 people do on a car?
Well, so they're not all there at the same time.
Okay.
Because that would be insanity.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, no, and it's a small car. That would be really challenging. No, generally there is between like 4 and 6 women there at a time. So every day, every week, it's a different group of women. There's local women who come, once a week or come periodically after work. There's out-of-towners who'll come for a long weekend or a week or as long as a month. I've had women come in for, and so it's always different. There's a lot of passing of the torch. There's a lot of sticky notes. There's very few things on the car that any one person can say, I did that whole project. Because it's more like I started this, I passed it off to this next person.
Got it.
It's a lot of learning. About 30% of the women involved have either never worked on cars or have tinkered a little bit. So on one day, I could be working with someone who doesn't know what a ratchet is. And then the next day, I could be working with somebody who's 20 years of experience as a metal shaper.
Yeah. Oh,
Boy, you're throwing some people in the deep end.
Oh,
I
it's
mean, you're talking
insane.
about going from also still so many questions. You're retaining all of the features of the hybrid,
Yes.
including charging it, like plug-in.
absolutely,
Where are you going to put the port?
It'll be integrated into the left front fender, which is where it lived originally on the
Okay.
S60. So the little flap and the
And then
plug will be
I
right there.
assume you have to retain the nav screen.
Nav screen's there, keyless entry's there, modern door latches.
The wiring alone is going to
Well,
be...
actually, I mean, yes, but because we're using everything, we're using the stock harness.
I was going to say, it probably makes it easier because...
In a way, right? The challenge becomes fitting the things and where do we put this module? How do I make this door lock actuator actually fit in this smaller door? Using 3D printing to make a new shark fin cover because with a
Right.
GPS antenna, right, the original shark fin cover is like half of the hood of the roof of the car, right? So we had to 3D print one tinier. So how do we make all the things fit becomes the challenge.
And it's probably easier using everything because I years ago, I don't even ask, but I built a AMG V8 and it wound
at
up
the factory.
at MotorTrend.
It's in our lobby.
Well, that's a whole other story.
put
But
cement
there was
in the
another
side.
one that showed up in a crate.
Okay.
And then it was like, hey, could you get this 700-pound thing out of the garage? It's taking up space. So I started giving it to different friends of mine, like, here, put it in the car. And all of them
Yeah.
were like, do you have the gas cap? Because without the AMG gas cap, like, the computer won't turn on. Do you have,
Right.
so you need everything on modern cars.
You do. It's
Yeah.
really hard to program individual things out, and that's how we landed where we landed, and the build got pushed back to kind of finish answering that question too. Is we wanted just the engine. Then with my research, I was realizing there are no independent standalone control modules that could support all of that.
Right.
And with it's gas direct, it's turbo, it's supercharged, it's all of the things.
Yeah.
So then it became this conversation of, okay, well, we need the whole drivetrain, we need the whole wiring harness, we need everything. In fact, let's just use the whole body and the whole floor and everything. And then Volvo was like, let's also step this up a notch and make it a hybrid. Okay, we're making it challenging as hell anyway. Why not go all the way? Let's do it.
So is this your first time working with a hybrid?
Well, I mean, this is my first time doing a body swap at all. So to this level, yes, it's my first time. But I've worked on hybrids previously. I've worked on some electric vehicles here and there.
Okay.
I honestly, like, regardless of how anybody feels about it politically or otherwise, like, as a technician, I love it because I just love learning new things.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
it's exciting. I'm like, ooh, new technology.
I was going to get. There was the inevitable question, which is
Right, inevitable.
where does
See
this
what you
all?
did there?
Yeah, where does this all fit
trust me.
in? Where does
Gets done too much.
hybrids, plug-in hybrids? Where does this fit in with your sort of personal or automotive philosophy?
Yeah.
You said part of it. You just love new technology.
As a tech, I love it.
But let's get political.
Let's get political. No, again, the purpose of this build, right, is to celebrate the past and the present and the future, right?
Okay.
And the reality is we are going more electrified, period, right?
It's inevitable. I did it again.
Yes. It is happening. And so we're celebrating old technology. We're doing old school metal shaping, but we're also using new technology. We're using 3D printers and CAD design. We are using an ICE engine, but we're also using an electric motor. And I think all of my builds have always been about pushing the envelope a little bit and bringing attention to women, to the industry in general. So it fits that it's an EV. It's a little bit of old. It's a little bit of new. It's pushing the envelope a little. It's going to piss some people off.
Right.
The fact that it's a Volvo is going to piss some people off.
That is true as well.
So you can't win. Yeah.
Apparently, that's my thing. But how do I feel about EVs? Okay, so we recently test drove on All Girls Garage. We did a Mach-E.
Okay.
And my analogy then was it's kind of like why call it a hamburger if it's a vegan burger, right? Like if you take a vegan burger as its own thing, they're actually really yummy.
Right.
But if you think it's a burger, it's not, and then you're disappointed.
You're talking about the Mustang.
The Mustang Mach-E, right? So
yeah,
but it's the same thing.
I meant the Mustang
if you
part
take it as its own thing,
as a
electric
Mach-E,
vehicles,
it's fine.
Mach-E or otherwise,
Yeah.
take electric vehicles as their own thing. Let's not compare them to anything else.
I
As
get
their
you.
own thing, they're pretty freaking cool.
Yep.
They're fun to drive. They're new technology. They're fun to work on. Do I think it's the ultimate answer for our energy crisis and for what's going on in our world? I don't know. I don't know if it's the final answer. But I do applaud the effort to do something different.
Sure.
Right? It's like the first attempt might not be the right one, but we have to try different things so that we can figure out how to not destroy our world completely.
Right.
So is this the final answer? I don't know. Time will tell.
Well, let me ask you this, though. As a master technician,
Yes.
with these EVs, obviously there's no camshafts or valves or gear train, all that stuff. There's no transmissions. So how do you feel about that? Like, and you said they're fun to work on. What's fun? Because I imagine with an EV, you're doing like a lot of alignments and suspension and brakes.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's still brakes. There's still cooling systems.
Yeah.
There's still all sorts of stuff. And realistically, working on new cars is so electric these days anyway. You're still dealing with CAN bus and all of the messaging and the data and scan tools, right? So that's nothing new. We're just taking the ICE engine out of it. Like there's nothing. ICE engine is redundant, isn't it?
It's okay. We know what you meant. Trust me. I say engine when I mean motor 10 times a day.
There you go.
Yes.
So,
all the language is failing us.
So it's fun to learn new things. It really isn't that far of a stretch from most modern vehicles as far as the amount of electric,
that's
more
a fascinating
control
point.
There's more control modules in a BMW from 2002 than there were in the first space shuttle.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
cars have not
yeah.
been all mechanical for a really long time. So anybody who
Good
says
point.
that EVs is going to put technicians out of business, it's just blatantly not true. It's going to force technicians to learn some new skills.
And that people hate that.
Right. Well, there are people still complaining about fuel injection over carbureted.
Oh, sure.
So,
Look,
you know.
I'm old enough.
Most of them watch MotorTrend.
I'm old enough. When I was hanging out at the garage by my house where I grew up, guys were bitching about how sperm whale oil was taken out of transmission fluid, and that's why automatics are no good anymore.
Clearly.
You got some weird friends.
You do.
Yeah.
No. These are
do.
guys at the Arco that had a little garage, and I remember this guy, and I was like, "What?"
In
He's
all
like,
seriousness,
he's like,
too.
he's like, "Oh yeah, 19." It was like
Yeah, and taking the
73.
asbestos out of brakes. Is
Oh,
right.
that's the.
So that stuff cracks me up. 'Cause people were like, "Oh, the old cars are the only ones to drive. They don't make cars like they used to. That's the
Yeah.
best." Yada yada.
Yeah.
Which is true. They don't make cars like they
They
used to.
don't make cars.
But I always ask them, so what kind of car does your daughter or your wife drive?
Prius.
Right. Or like a Toyota Corolla, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, so the old cars are the only way to go, but
Right.
you're going to put your kid in a safe car that's modern.
Of course. Yeah, exactly.
Because their old cars are wonderful.
Yeah, your kid's not in the Chevelle. How
But
odd. Yeah,
it's like shocking.
That gets 8 miles a gallon.
Yeah,
Interesting.
like both can be true statements, right?
Yeah.
Old cars are good,
Yeah.
and new cars are good. Those are not mutually exclusive.
Thank you. I love hearing that.
And
Fantastic.
ICE engines are cool, and EVs are cool. They can both exist in the world.
Right.
Yeah, and it's so funny how people think that they can't. Like you saw that I did an Instagram post where I said 17 years ago the Bugatti Veyron made 1,001 horsepower, cost $1 million. I just drove this Lucid 1,050 horsepower, costs
Right.
$180.
Right.
Like
Right.
that's crazy progress.
Right. Well, let's be honest too. Like there were EVs way back in the day. In fact, one of the first EVs,
some of the first cars. Yeah,
one of the first electric vehicles was specifically marketed to women, which is an interesting thing, because as they were starting to, have women start driving, they couldn't do the crank.
Hand crank,
yeah. So the electric vehicles were marketed to women as a vehicle that they could drive without having to get out and crank. So this is not new.
Right.
Yeah. It's not new.
Yeah.
So this is amazing. Yeah, I mean, there's so much. You covered a ton of ground there. But back on the project.
Yes.
Where are you? So, where are you guys now? The target for the reveal is SEMA.
2022.
At the time, 22. At the time we're recording this, that's a couple months out, a few months out.
Just in time for the monkeypox. To sweep
come on,
Nevada.
Be positive.
Never.
You sound maybe a little stressed.
I'm mildly stressed. I mean, that's the way these builds are, though. SEMA crunch, right? In some ways, we're totally ahead of the game. In other ways, we are horribly behind the game. From the firewall back, the car is ready to go into primer and final body work. Firewall ahead, we are still doing metal shaping. So most of our electronics are figured out. We've run the wiring harness. We've figured out homes for all the control modules. We've figured out mostly what things we have to eliminate and what things we can just tuck away and leave plugged in. So we've got most of that figured out. We just got to get through metal in the front.
What's the goal? Is it to move under its own power?
No.
You want to go ripping down the...
No, I want it to drive in. I want it to be under its own, and I want no fault codes. That's the goal. That's cool. And we're in a paint booth, right? So we're
Good
in
luck
BAS,
with that last
I know,
one.
right?
Yeah.
We're going to be in BASF's paint booth, so the paint has to be
Oh, cool. Oh, that's
So-
very
And you're gonna reveal the color.
We are. So that's a secret. We ran a color contest, 3 custom colors that we came up with a woman named Connie Mangiavinos. She's out of Florida, amazing painter, young woman, very talented. So we came up with custom colors. And,
that's awesome.
Put them out for a public vote. And we don't know.
Is this going to be? Are we going to do or maybe you can't tell me? Are we going to do is it just a cool color, or is it going to be
is it artwork.
super deep
Pattern.
and then pinstriping and all sorts?
No.
It's,
So I'm a big fan of kind of understated kind of stuff. So all 3 of the colors are solid colors, and there's a little bit of pearl in one of them, but they're just solid, clean colors.
Can you tell us what the 3 are?
Yeah, so the 3 colors are kind of a gray with a little bit of a purpley tint and a little bit of pearl, and that is called Resilient Gray.
I can see it.
And then we have this interesting sage green, kind of modern, kind of throwback to old, and that is She Is Sage. Beautiful color. And then there's a purple called Rebel Berry, and it is a deep, delicious looking purple with a lot of red in it.
So I was talking with BASF
Oh, yes.
about, I was going to write something about how I hate the fact that most cars are white. It just drives me insane.
I love white cars.
It's the worst.
They're the
But
best.
I got
solar load in Arizona, man. Look it up.
Look, green works better. It's the best color for sun. But anyways, they gave me these stats, and it was 39% of cars sold globally are white. Yeah.
Right?
Same as your refrigerator.
How boring
They couldn't get more
is
boring.
our population?
Couldn't get more boring. And then 19% are black, and then 19% are some form of silver or gray. So that leaves you with 20% other colors. Most are blue, some red. Then you get into the yellows, oranges, greens, and purples, and it's less than 1%.
Totally.
And purple's the worst.
I know.
So I hope it's purple. Is my whole point. Some cars look so good.
Purple is kind of my hair is purple. My shop is purple. So I kind of feel like it needs to be purple.
I think you might have just. But stop now. I think you gave it away.
It's not up to me.
I feel the same way.
With the Chevy Montage, I wanted that to be purple too, but teal won, so it's teal. So
okay, so what are the wheels on this car?
So we're using Volvo wheels. They're really is it high negative, high positive? I forget. I'm not a wheel and tire person.
Right.
But basically where the end of the car is and where the hub ends, there's very few tire or wheel manufacturers that can accommodate that. I wanted to do Detroit steel, but they just can't make it. So we're using Volvo wheels to accommodate all the internals.
So you're gonna go right. It'll be a nice sort of OEM flush fit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And these are S60 wheels?
They are.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Any other special features inside? What's this interior? Is it?
So the the interior is going to be basically the way I kind of this is going to be if Volvo were to make a PV 544 today. So you're going to open the door and it's going to be the S60 dash. We've just chopped it and made it smaller. It's going to have the S60 center console and the infotainment system and all of the things. It's got the S60 air conditioning unit. It's got the S60 seats. So our seats are fully functional with seat occupancy mat and seat heaters and thigh support and lumbar support and all the fancy things. They're just narrower. So interior, it's going to look like a new Volvo.
Wow. Is there like wood? Is this one? Did the one you got, the donor car, have like open pore wood, or is it metal?
It's like a black plastic trim and then like a brushed aluminum kind of looking thing.
I know, yeah. Because I had a long-term S60. It was 2014, I want to say, something like that. And they were the most comfortable seats. I'm fascinated by the seats.
They're really comfy.
Yeah, but I'm interested if you take 2 inches out of them.
Like I said, they're still really comfortable for me.
So what I think you got to do is...
It just kind of hugs you.
Bring the car to L.A. After SEMA, or before. Okay. After.
Yeah,
and
after.
Let me drive it.
Okay.
And we'll have some,
Well, we are going to come back and revisit Bogi, maybe at her shop.
You guys should totally come to the shop.
Check it out.
Yeah.
But what are the plans? So we are crossing fingers. We believe in you. It's going to make its SEMA debut. It's going to move under its own power.
Good juju, good energy. Yeah.
What's after? What's the future of the car and the program after it's done?
So we're still kind of working out the details with Volvo. They have some hopes to bring it around to some various locations as well. We, as Girl Gang, hope to bring it to some car shows and bring it around the country and maybe some school programs. Again, this is a conversation piece, right? This is not meant to be anything other than that. It's a way to connect women. It's a way to start conversations. So much like with the other trucks, we'll have a little monitor that shows an ongoing looped video of the women building the vehicle. We'll be there to answer questions and have conversations. And we can do these big broad stroke things, right? But it's one-on-one that we change hearts and minds, whether it comes to sexism, homophobia, racism, all of those things. Like we can push the envelope in big conversations all we want. Doing big builds this is intense and awesome, and it raises awareness. But it's that one-on-one when somebody comes up and watches the video and then still comes up to me and says, did women really build this?
Yeah.
Right?
I love that. I get this all the time where people will send me a message like, I'll write a review of a car and I'll post it on Instagram. Like, here's my review of the blah, blah, blah. And then they'll send me a message like, what'd you really think? And I'm like, you found out. I lie for a living. And what I really think is the opposite. Yeah.
That's the world we live in, though, unfortunately.
It's crazy. I was telling some folks the other day, they didn't believe me. I go to car shows and people, if I had $1 for every time, they will walk up to me, grab my hand. I don't know who they are. They're just grabbing my hand.
Sure.
And they will hold it up and look at it, inspect it, and say, do you really work on cars?
Really?
Like, is that so hard to believe? Your hands are too clean. I'm like, first of all, have you seen these nails? But there's this crazy thing called gloves and soap. Also, it's amazing.
Right.
So say your nails look like you work on cars.
I do. I call it my mechanicure.
Yeah.
It's like dark on the tips.
Meanwhile, I have very soft writer's hands.
Yeah, same too. Yeah. Oh, the softest. Yeah. I have a question. Assuming there's a Girl Gang 4, can I send my wife?
Oh, totally.
Because she's always like, I want to learn how to work on stuff.
Totally. Anybody can come and play. Like, literally the only requirements for this is be willing to learn.
Yeah.
Be willing to walk through those doors.
Yeah.
Like, show up. That's it. Get yourself to Phoenix. Raise your hand. There's no charge.
Great.
It's you come, you learn, you share your knowledge. Even the pros, we're all pushing ourselves. And with a build like this, it's super level setting. Like a woman who is not in the industry can bring as much to the table as a woman who is in the industry because none of us know what the heck we're doing.
Perfect.
So, okay, I love this. How would somebody interested, where do they go? How do they sign up?
So girlganggarage.com. Okay. There's a sign up thing there. So you can sign up for the build. You can sign up for a regular newsletter. You can find out when we're having all women's car care classes and when we're having other sorts of workshops, which will be more after SEMA. We'll be doing some other workshops. But keep up with us on social media, Girl Gang on Instagram Girl Gang Garage on Instagram and Facebook. And then Bogi's Garage is my personal, and you can kind of keep up with all of the craziness through there too. Okay, and the Volvo, this PV 544 project is on everything you just said. Yes, on all of those things. I really wish it was on YouTube more, but oh my God, it is so much work, and I'm like, tell us doing the work, teaching people how to do the work, organizing women every day, and remembering to document it. There's so many days where I'm like, oh, I should have grabbed photos of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, welcome to our lives.
I'm barely
Welcome to
sleeping as it
welcome
is.
to our text chain.
Right.
Yeah. That's
How come you didn't roll a video camera?
You have a whole team, though.
Hang on, like it's hard. It's a
I know
lot.
it's
a
hard.
lot.
I'm not
It's a lot.
judging, but it
It
is
is,
a
yeah.
lot.
It
Now
is, yeah.
imagine doing it without anybody else helping you.
Right.
Yeah.
No, we get it.
Yeah.
Well, look, we're super excited. This is only part one of this conversation, so
Cool.
we want to circle back when the project is done, or maybe be there when you key it on.
You
and
better
about to
be there
pull it
for
He
the
out.
likes
unveil.
SEMA. He might actually show
Yeah,
up.
come to
We're
the
gonna see
unveil.
my-
Find
yeah.
out what
I'll wear
color
my-
it is.
I'll wear my
Yeah.
t-shirt.
I like Las Vegas. I could be there playing poker, but
Right.
I probably won't go to the show.
So let's figure out whether we go visit you at the shop, or we do something at the unveil at SEMA or somewhere else.
Or both.
Let's drive the car. I mean, we review cars professionally. Let's go drive the
that's
thing.
true. That's a good point.
if you can
right?
fit in it.
I'll fit.
Yeah, we'll
I
find
can fit in
somebody.
anything.
But,
You should see the seat I had for my race car.
We'll do a how many MotorTrend folks can you fit in a PV 544?
we'll get our photographer in there, William. He's a small guy.
This sounds like a horrible idea.
I love it.
But thank you so much.
Thank you guys
Yeah,
so much.
real
This was
pleasure.
awesome.
Really cool.
I had a
Really
lot
cool.
of fun with you.
Awesome.